Hi, I'm Jessica. I work with digital campaigns at Lighthouse, including the Read, Think, Act videos. And I'm here to tell you a wee bit about some of my favourite books on climate justice. And by that, I mean books that really give you a sense of the background to the climate crisis and possible solutions that aren't just focusing on emissions, but actually change all of society the way that it needs to be changed. So the first one is called The Memory We Could Be, and it's by Daniel Macmillan Voskobojnik. And this starts with the idea that in order to have a different future, we need to reevaluate all our entire past and all of our history. So it looks at how the climate crisis happened, starting with colonialism and starting with the idea that some people could colonize other places and use people and nature as resources. And then it takes us through the present moment and into the future, and it questions things like what does progress mean and what does collapse mean, and actually looks at those two things as two sides of the same kind of binary ideology, and that actually reality lies somewhere in between and constant change. It's a really, really beautiful book, and I think it's one that gives true inspiration for action. The next one is a bit of a rediscovered classic, and it's by a Swedish journalist called Sven Lindqvist. And it was republished a few years ago by Granta. It's called Exterminate All the Brutes. And it's a book that doesn't actually mention climate or environmental collapse really at any point. It's a travelogue, and it's a journey that this journalist took through the Sahara in the 90s. And he was a bit obsessed with the book Heart of Darkness by Conrad at the time. And what he's looking at is the idea behind this book and what it was actually saying about imperialism and colonialism. So it's tracing the history of genocide, essentially, back to the idea that some people are better and more worthy of life than others. And I think if we're talking about climate crisis, then this is one of the places where we need to begin, because it's a key part of it. It sounds very, very harrowing, and it is, but at the same time, it's truly beautifully written, and it's really, really poignant today as well. And then finally, one of my very recent reads, which quickly became my favourite read of last year, is Julieta Singh's The Breaks. This is a long letter written from the author to her 6-year-old daughter. And it is addressing things like what it's like to be a young brown person in a predominantly white country today, what it's like to be a brown girl. It's about queer family making, it's about racism, but it's also mostly about parenting as a radical act of imagination. So not parenting as reproducing what you've known and what you've grown up with and the narratives that we're all tired of and that need to change. It's parenting as an unlearning and a relearning along with children. So it's one of the most genuinely hopeful things I've read in a really, really long time, and it's one that I'll keep coming back to as well. So those are 3 books that are very, very different, but that all in some way address what took us here and where we need to go next. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you either in the bookshop or online or at some event very soon. Thanks very much.